I was reviewing quarterly projections when the call came through from security. 20 years of building my company, and I'd never had my assistant sound quite so uncertain. Ms. Rodriguez, security says there's a situation at the main gate. A group of people claiming to be your family. My fingers paused over the keyboard. I don't have a family, David. That's what I told them, but they're insistent. They have signs and... He paused. Should I have them removed? Signs? Yes, ma'am. They say things like, please forgive us. And we're sorry, Lucia. Security has footage if you'd like to see. I closed my laptop. The Rodriguez family. After 2 decades of silence, they'd finally found me. Send the footage to my screen. The security feed loaded, showing 5 people at our main gate. My parents, looking 20 years older and infinitely more desperate. My older brothers, Carlos and Miguel, who'd thrown my belongings out the second-story window while laughing. My sister Rosa, who'd recorded the whole thing on her phone to post online. They held hand-drawn signs on cardboard. Lucive, we're sorry. Please hear us out. We are losing everything. Family is favor here. That last one made me laugh, sharp and bitter. Ms. Rodriguez, David's voice through the intercom. How would you like us to proceed? I studied the screen. My father, who called me a worthless burden, now wore a cheap suit that had seen better days. My mother, who'd said I'd never amount to anything, clutched her sign with hands that shook. The siblings who'd celebrated my exile stood subdued, defeated. Keep them at the gate. I'll handle this personally. Ma'am, are you sure that's wise? They waited 20 years for this reunion. They can wait another 10 minutes. I took my time walking to the executive elevator, memories flooding back with each step. 16 years old, standing in the rain with a garbage bag of clothes. My father's voice. You contribute nothing to this family. You're worthless. A drain. Get out and don't come back. My crime? Refusing to drop out of school to work at the family restaurant. Insisting on studying instead of waiting tables. Dreaming of college when they needed another set of hands to bus tables and wash dishes. College? My mother had sneered. For what? You're not smart enough. Not pretty enough to marry rich. You'll work in the restaurant like the rest of us. When I'd refused, they'd made good on years of threats. The security office had a clear view of the gate. I stood behind the bulletproof glass, watching my family shift uncomfortably in the Texas heat. They didn't know I was there, couldn't see through the tinted windows. How long have they been here? I asked the head of security. About an hour, ma'am. They showed up right at noon. Rosa was on her phone, probably checking how many likes her last post got. Even in desperation, some things never changed. What exactly did they say? That they're your family, that there was a misunderstanding years ago, that they need to speak with you urgently. He paused. The older woman, your mother? She said you'd want to know about the restaurant. The restaurant, their pride and joy, the business that mattered more than their youngest daughter. I activated the intercom. This is private property. You have 2 minutes to explain why you're here. They jumped at my voice, looking around frantically. Lucia, my mother pressed against the gate. Maja, is that you? Don't call me that. You lost that right 20 years ago. 1 minute, 45 seconds. Please, I need to talk to you. My father stepped forward. The restaurant is failing. I finished. Yes, I know. I've known for 3 years. You're behind on rent, taxes, and vendor payments. The city is about to seize it for non-payment. You have 1 minute, 30 seconds. Their faces went white. Of course they hadn't known I kept tabs. That I watched from a distance as their beloved restaurant slowly crumbled under mismanagement and changing demographics. How do you? I own the building, I said simply. I bought it through a shell company 3 years ago when the previous owner defaulted. You've been paying rent to me, or rather, not paying rent to me. 1 minute. The silence stretched, broken only by Houston traffic. You own? Carlos couldn't finish. I own a lot of things. The strip mall where your restaurant sits, the apartment complex where you live, the note on Miguel's house. Rosa's car loan, but that's through a subsidiary. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not worthless. 30 seconds. Lucia, please, my mother was crying now. We made a mistake. We're sorry. We're losing everything. No, I corrected. You've already lost everything. You just didn't know it yet. Time's up. I stepped out of the security office and walked toward the gate, my heels clicking on the pavement. 20 years of success had taught me the power of presence. Designer suit, confident walk, the knowledge that I'd built an empire from nothing. They pressed against the gate like prisoners, which I suppose they were, prisoners of their own choices. Lucia. Rosa breathed. You look successful? Accomplished? Everything you said I'd never be. We were wrong, my father said, words I'd never thought I'd hear. We were stupid, traditional, scared. You were cruel, I interrupted. You threw a 16-year-old onto the streets because she wanted an education, because she refused to limit herself to your tiny dreams. The restaurant was our life, my mother protested weakly. The restaurant was your choice, and you chose it over your daughter. Miguel, always the boldest, stepped forward. So what, you've been planning this? Some kind of revenge. Revenge? I laughed. You think I built a multi-million-dollar real estate empire to get revenge on you? You always did think too small, Miguel. I built this because I could, because a homeless 16-year-old with nothing but determination is capable of more than you ever imagined. Then why buy our building? Carlos demanded. Investment opportunity. Your landlord was in foreclosure. I saw undervalued property in an up-and-coming neighborhood. The fact that you were tenants was just cosmic irony. Please, my father's pride finally cracked completely. What do you want? An apology? You have it. We're sorry. We'll do anything. Just don't take the restaurant. The restaurant is already gone. You're 6 months behind on rent, 8 months behind on taxes. Even if I forgive everything, which I want, the city will seize it within the week. You could stop it, my mother said desperately. You have money now. You could save us. I could, I agreed, but I won't. Why? Rosa actually looked confused. We're family. No, family doesn't throw children away. Family doesn't mock dreams. Family doesn't celebrate cruelty. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to a saved video. Remember this, Rosa? Her voice, 20 years younger, but just as vicious, rang from the speakers. Look at the worthless bitch, thinking she's better than us. Cry harder, Puda. Maybe your books will keep you warm tonight. In the background, my brother's laughter, my parents telling her to stop recording and help throw my things out. You posted that online, I said quietly. Tagged it, taking out the trash. It went viral in our neighborhood. Do you know what happened after that? They couldn't meet my eyes. I slept in the library until security kicked me out. Then the park. Then a homeless shelter where I was the youngest person by decades. I finished high school while working 3 jobs. Got a scholarship. Started with nothing and built everything. We could have help, my father started. You could have. 20 years ago. Instead, you taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. I couldn't count on anyone but myself. So I didn't. What do you want from us? Carlos asked. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what I've wanted from you for 20 years, and it's what I'll continue to want. The restaurant is all we have, my mother sobbed. Then you should have run it better. You should have adapted instead of clinging to old ways. You should have valued innovation over tradition. You should have listened when your 16-year-old daughter tried to tell you the world was changing. I turned to security. They have 5 minutes to leave the property. If they return, have them arrested for trespassing. Lucia, wait. My father called. At least tell us how you did it. How you became this. I paused, looking back at the man who'd called me worthless. When you have nothing, you learn to see opportunity everywhere. When you have no safety net, you learn to fly. When your family throws you away, you learn to build your own foundation. Will we, my mother's voice broke, will we see you again? You'll see my name. On buildings, in business journals, on a Fortune 500 list next year, if projections hold. I smiled coldly. Every success I achieved is a reminder that you were wrong about me. That's all the relationship we need. I walked back to the building, their pleas fading behind me. David met me at the elevator. Are you all right, Ms. Rodriguez? Perfect. Please have legal draft eviction notices for the restaurant and their apartment complex. Standard procedure for non-payment. Yes, ma'am. The team from Tokyo is waiting in conference room A. Thank you, David. As the elevator rose, I thought about family, not the one that threw me away, but the one I built. My assistant, David, who'd started as an intern and grown with the company. My CFO, Marie, who believed in my vision when I had nothing but ambition. The scholarship kids we sponsored every year, teenagers with big dreams and no support like I'd been. That was my family. Chosen, not born. Built on respect, not blood. The Tokyo deal went perfectly. We acquired 3 more properties, expanding our portfolio into international markets. I celebrated with my team, people who saw my worth and multiplied it. That night, alone in my penthouse office, I allowed myself one moment of grief. Not for the family at the gate, but for the 16-year-old girl who deserved better, who'd stood in the rain with nowhere to go and somehow found the strength to build an empire anyway. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, Rosa probably. Lucia, please. We're desperate. The family needs you. I deleted it without reading further and blocked the number. They'd had 20 years to need me. 20 years to wonder if I was alive, where I was sleeping, what I was eating. 20 years to feel regret, to reach out, to apologize. Instead, they'd waited until they needed my money. But money was all they'd ever valued anyway. The restaurant's income over their daughter's dreams, their traditions over my ambitions, their pride over my potential. Now they could live with that choice. I pulled up the city's tax seizure list. The Rodriguez family restaurant was scheduled for auction next week. I made a note to have one of my subsidiaries bid on it. Not out of sentiment, but because the location was perfect for the trendy gastropub chain I'd been courting. They'd hate that. Their traditional Mexican restaurant turned into something modern, successful, everything they'd refused to let it become. But they wouldn't know I was behind it. Just another corporate buyer erasing their legacy. Or maybe not. Maybe I'd put my name on it. Rodriguez Hospitality Group. Let them see what the worthless daughter could build with the tools they denied her. 20 years ago, they'd thrown me away like garbage. Today, I'd shown them what they'd really discarded, pure gold they'd been too blind to recognize. The security footage would delete automatically in 24 hours, their visit erased like they tried to erase me. But unlike them, I didn't need video evidence to remember. Every success, every achievement, every milestone was a memory of where I'd come from and how far I climbed. They'd given me nothing but rejection. I turned it into everything. And now, when they finally recognized my worth, it was 20 years and a fortune too late. Some bridges, once burned, light the way to better destinations. And some families, once lost, reveal that you were never really missing anything at all. The city seized the restaurant the following week. I bought it at auction for less than they owed in back taxes. The sign came down the same day. 6 months later, Rodriguez Hospitality Group opened its flagship location where the family restaurant once stood. Modern, successful, innovative. Everything they'd said I couldn't be. I never saw them again. But sometimes, late at night in my office overlooking the city I conquered, I'd think about the 16-year-old girl with nothing but a garbage bag and a dream. She'd probably be proud. After all, she'd always known she was worth more than they could see. It just took 20 years and a real estate empire to prove it.